Hi my friends, welcome to another edition on What the Bible Says with Ngozi Atiti. So my name is Ngozi Atiti, and today, I am coming to react on this video that has been going around and the accusation and allegation. I'm using those words because it is not confirmed yet. There are different information coming from different angles and they are not correlating. That's why I'm using the word allegation, and allegation, it remains now until a proof is established. So there is this man by named Pastor Mike Davids who claimed to have worked with Apostle Johnson Suleman's ministry, OFM ministry, Omega Fire ministry, for 16 years. He said he was one of the senior pastors in that ministry, and he claims that Apostle Johnson Suleman was having a carnal knowledge of his wife, basically alleged that he took his wife from him. I mean, that's what the internet has been showing us, and the different videos that I've been watching, this is what they claim. Okay, so before I continue, so I want us to read what the Bible says in Proverbs chapter 22 verse 1. I read from here, from King James Version. It says, "A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold." So why am I reading this passage? It is very it is honorable to make sure you retain a good image of yourself. The Bible is telling us to retain and maintain that fact, that policy, that standard of a good name. It is what more honorable than running after riches and then throwing your name in the mud or leaving a trail of a bad goodwill about yourself. Okay, so there is this interview by Solomon's Temple. That's the name of the channel. I'm going to put the name of the channel on my screen, and I'm also going to put the link to the video that I'm going to show you so that you can watch the full clip in Solomon's Temple channel. So the link of the video is going to be in my description box. So the next slide you're going to see is interview by Solomon and Pastor Mike Davids, and you can hear from him, and then you judge for yourself. I mean, what do you think? Do you think this is a reality? Do you think Apostle Joseph Suleman is guilty of this accusation, or do you think this is just the kingdom of hell at work again, or do you think this is a collaboration by wicked people just to rubbish the name of Apostle Joseph Suleman and Omega Fire Ministry? What do you think? So I'll allow you to just, you judge for yourself, you analyze for yourself, and whatever you think, put it in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and I will see you again in another video. Hopefully, if there is an interview with the wife, I'll still bring it here, and all of us, we analyze. We're all mature Christians, so see for yourself. And what do you think? And I want to use this opportunity to tell every one of us that in whatever we're doing, keep a good trail, keep a good name for yourself, keep a good image of who you represent, the organization you represent, the family you represent, and the personality you represent. Your name is what's more important than status, than fame, than achievement, than money. I mean, Proverbs 22 verse 1 has already told us. This is what the Bible says, this is what God says, and this is what this channel is all about. So in the next slide, you will hear for yourself. You're going to watch the clip of the interview between that Solomon himself, who is a journalist in South Africa. The interview he had with former Pastor Mike Davies of OFM Ministry. So until I see you next time, remain blessed. Shalom. Bye-bye.
Mike, thank you so much. I'm glad to see you that you were calm down. Watching your video yesterday, you were very emotional and there was so much pain. How do you feel today? After yesterday, the news is all out there. I know there's so much pressure. How do you feel today?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Mr. Solomon, for having me. Well, There is no better way to tell, how I feel at the time, other than, to continue to ask God for grace and for His help, in the circumstance, because the injustice done to my little baby, is not something that can be forgotten, in a short time. It's something that will live with me for a long time to come. So that's basically it. That's where we are.
How long have you been married? And what was your marriage like?
Well, we were 2019, or if I would say 2020 was supposed to be 12 years of our marriage. Probably December 6th would have been our marriage anniversary. But for the separation, I think by 2019, in which the separation took place, that would be 11 years. But basically, my marriage was good. We as long as we were together, just like how every marriage has its ups and downs and all of that.
Yes.
We kept going, praying and trusting God for grace, and God was faithful, until what happened, basically.
I want to go through some of the stuff you raised in your video, and some of the early signs that you saw that there was some sort of an entanglement between your wife and Johnson Suleiman. You mentioned your wife when you met her being a virgin, and you mentioned the hotel, where they had, they normally go to pray, or no, where they normally go to pray. And anyway, that's the second one. When did you notice there was something wrong, and what was sort of like the discussions that you guys had around it?
I think from the time I introduced her to Apostle Johnson Suleiman, who I had met, I think barely few months, before then, weakness is different from wickedness.
Yes.
Are you hearing what I'm saying? Apostle
Yes.
Suleiman's situation is not a function of weakness; it's a function of wickedness. Because I'm not the first person he has done this to. There are so many victims out there who probably cannot speak of for reasons of fear, of his, position and influence and connections and all of that. But I have made up my mind that this is my story, this is my truth. Whatever it will take me, I will fight for my children, I will fight for my home. So basically, my wife, at some point, would mention to me of his invitations of her, to certain places, come and stay with me, can you come to Benin, so locations and all of that. Basically, I never really, I had this Catholic charismatic renewal background. Back in the days, they were more like the deeper life. Very spiritual and straight to the point. So that was the kind of background I had. So it's even on Christianly for you to even imagine that for somebody you refer to or you esteem and dear as a spiritual leader to even, would want to contemplate having something to do with somebody who is a daughter, let alone, your son's daughter or fiancé, as it were. So I would basically just overlook it. I'll say, maybe Papa is lonely and all of that. He probably just needs company because of his frequent travels and all of that. Just feel free, But after some point, she began to mention to me, of his interest in her, and all of that. And I said, well, at this point, it appears that you may really have to be careful, about your closeness and all of that. But she was basically like, there is really nothing like that she have everything under control. From one point to the other, after some point, she was no longer opening up to me, for probably for fear that, okay, maybe I was beginning to process the whole thing and it was probably beginning to affect my mood and all of that. Until we eventually got married. All of this was even before we got married in 2008, December 6th. Then after we got married, because I started out pastoring in Warri, Delta State here in Nigeria, I was posted from there to Benin, branch 2, Urubi, specific. That was where I was pastoring. You had branch 1. Branch 1 was being headed by Pastor Temidayo then. That one has also left the ministry because of things like this and all of that. That one has left. So then Then eventually, I was after some time, I was posted from there to Osun State. Then it was in Osun State. I was posted to Osun State, 2010. All right, so that was when about the time Celebration TV, starting and all of that, Rema for Living, where the plans were underway, basically, and all of that. So for reasons of the fact that my wife was, a part-time staff with NTA Iraq. You can Google it. It's there on YouTube. The NTA Iraq. You have NTA Benin, and they extended the stations to some of these villages around and all of that, and they had their offices there. So that was where she was working as one of the broadcasters. And so Suleman now felt that, okay, that should be instrumental to the development of Celebration TV and all of that. He asked her to resign, which she did, and all of that. So as of 2009, we had our first daughter, whose name is Michelle. God blessed us with that girl exactly November 24th, 2009. So then into 2010, when we're in Osun State now, we had just moved to Osun State, barely about 6 months thereabout, to 7 months. When she will have to travel back and forth to Auchi, even to Lagos, doing meetings with Apostle Suleman and team and all of that. I basically felt neutral about it, considering the fact that she had a baby and all of that. So when she came back on one of the days, that was when she told me that she really needed to talk to me, about something that had happened. So I was like, go ahead. And she said, this is what happened, that Apostle Suleman lodged. Everybody who are hearing me from around the world, or who probably have been to Auchi, Edo State, they know Uyi Grand. Uyi Grand is a popular hotel in Auchi, Edo State. As a matter of fact, that's one of the hotels that hosts, some of the guests that come from Asad Auchi and all of that. So that was where he would basically lodge some of his guests, and what you have. So that was where she was lodged. So she told me 2 days later, because her conscience was really pricking her, that this is what happened. And that when she told me, I died as a man from that time. That Apostle Suleman came to her room, and had carnal knowledge of her, slept with her. So I was basically like, where was my daughter? That was the first question I asked. I said, where was Michelle? She said Michelle was on the bed, pushed aside. That's one thing I'm not very sure how much I can live with it. So I died as a man from that moment. My pain was, it's not something to even imagine, it's not something to consider. Irrespective of what she says on social media, irrespective of how they try to manipulate it, I know what I'm saying with all authority. This was what my wife told me, and from that time.
But you mentioned something, Mike, and for me, it's having a daughter and having a mother and having a man who is not our father on top of the mother on the same bed. How old was she? And how did that break you?
That's something that I will have to live with for a long time to come, because it left a dent on my soul. And that's one of my motivation for what I'm doing. It does not matter where Suleman takes me to. I will repeat what I have said 100 times.
Yeah.
Because I know what I was told, and I know the impact that had on me even till this very moment that as we speak. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One thing I also need us to understand is that Apostle Suleman is not a man of God. He's not. The Apostle Suleman is not a man of God.
Yes.
You see, because I viewed that, that incident beyond just wanting to sleep with a woman. There must be some reasons or probably a cultic purpose attached to it. And some persons have spoken to me, in confidence to like, by that action, that child comes under a curse, probably, that only the father of that child can break that curse, or probably a genuine man of God. These are the two persons who may want to minister to that child. And that's why the first thing I'm going to demand, is to release my children, first of all, for a DNA test, because I need to be sure that these children are even my own in the first place.
Actually, what you're saying was quite true, because yesterday when I was doing the broadcast and playing some of your videos, someone in the US actually said, hey, how are you sure those kids are your kids?
Obviously.
If he has been sleeping with your wife for that long, how are you sure kids are really your kids?
Of course.
You've loved them, you've cared for them, you provided for them as a father, you've done your best, but it's always good to know. And to be honest with you, they said in Nigeria, I saw it a couple of weeks ago, that Nigeria is actually the #1 country where actually women cheat, where the children, a lot of kids do not belong to who they think is their father.
Yeah.
It was a couple of weeks ago. If people Google it, you're going to see it somewhere. So I think it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
You know, it's the right thing to demand. And you were saying you haven't seen your kids for how many years?
This is 1 year going to 2 years, 1 year, 6 months thereabout.
How old are they? So you don't know how they're doing in school? How old are they?
I don't know nothing, because Apostle Suleman threatened me that if he ever sees me close to my wife and my children, that he would take me out. You know, during December, just this December that passed, I practically didn't stay in my house because of some threats that got to me. Some persons had to meet me in confidence and say, hey, you have to stay away from the house because this man has vowed that he will take you out. Because he actually threatened me in December 2018, in last Sunday of December 2018, that if I leave Omega Fire Ministries, he gives me 2 years, that my wife will leave me and that I will lose my life. This was the threat he made to me. So the first one has happened, which is my wife leaving me. And March this year, which will make it the second year that I left, because I left in March 2019. You know, so that's why I have to reach out, because of the threats and all of that, for everybody to come to my aid. Because as I speak, I need help, because I've been receiving attacks left, right, and center, and all of that, which probably I've spoken to. When we spoke last year, I also mentioned them to you.
Yes. What kind of relationship did you have with your wife from the early stages of your marriage to before she left the house, according to your story?
It was a very healthy relationship, even though, you know, there were some challenges. Of course, they were not challenges that basically just disagreements and all of that, and reconciliations, you know, and it was basically not beyond that, you know. But one thing I knew, even from, there were certain persons who were also trying to reach out to me to, like, be very careful, you know, and all of that, because it appears there is something, you know, more than you understand that is going on between your wife and Suleman. You know, see, Omega Fire Ministries, do your own research. Things like this are not new in Omega Fire Ministries. There are a lot of people who are victims. It's something that we are used to, you know. But when it comes to people's wives, because we knew him, you know, really into ladies, young ladies, even teenagers and all of that. But, you know, pastors' wives, you know, people's wives and all of that, these are things that is on the lips of a lot of people. It's just that people are afraid, they can't speak up and all of that. That's just the reason why, ordinarily, if you do your own research, or maybe you come to Auchi at those states, do your research, you'll be surprised that it's on the streets everywhere. It's not hidden. It's not something that is hidden.
So it's public knowledge around that area.
It's public knowledge. It's
that the man is an adulterer, the man is a fornicator, he sleeps with young girls, teenagers, married women, everybody.
Yes.
How is your wife? What kind of a woman is she? Because I don't want people to get the impression that she's this evil woman, you know, even if she had made mistake or whatever. What kind of a woman? You married her for a reason. You saw something there. That's why you fell in love with her, isn't it?
Yeah. Truth be told, the woman I married is not the woman that is talking out there.
Right.
My wife is a very, you know, wonderful woman, very amazing woman, very intelligent woman, very caring woman. All right. You know, so that is why I am amazed at the change that I'm even seeing myself, with the way she's defending another woman's husband on Facebook against her own husband. It's something that, you know, I can't really, I find it very difficult to process. You know, she's a very wonderful woman. She's somebody who stands for truth. And that's why I am of the very, of the considered opinion that Suleman has used something on that woman. She has been hypnotized. Something has been used on her. That is not the woman. The woman talking out there is not the woman I got married to. She's a wonderful woman. She's a beautiful woman, very kind at heart. Somebody who hates injustice, hates oppression. So for her to have run away from her matrimonial home with her 3 kids and went out there to be with another man is something I can't understand. And people are like, come of it, this is not normal. Something is wrong spiritually. She must have come under some occultic hypnosis. That is not the woman I got married to. And that's why I'm crying out to the public. I'm crying out to everybody, deliverance ministers, people from around the world, those who can help, please help me. Irrespective of whatever she is saying, those things have been doctored. She talked about me beating her and all of that. Nothing like that. I'm not a violent person. I could be angry. And once I'm angry, one thing I learned when I was much younger is that when you are angry, you walk away. So that has really helped me. So I'm not a physical person.
So you've never beaten her up, abused her, she left the
There
house.
has never been anything like that.
Yeah.
Nothing like that.
Because
Some of those things
that's what she's been claiming in the video that she released.
No, some of those things, we have had disagreements, heated arguments. I have never raised my hand on her because I am somebody, who is completely against any form of violence towards women. I don't like it. I would rather that you break whatever relationship you have with the person than to have her beaten up. Why should you beat up a woman? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make no sense. There was a day that we had some kind of argument, that she held my clothes, all right, and I had to forcefully move away, and she almost fell. I apologized for that thing for almost 1 week. Let alone raise my hand on her. I'm not that kind of a person. So whatever she's saying, one thing I know is that God is judge, and I know one thing for sure, that whatever Suleman has used on her, it will leave her very soon. Because I'm praying. It will leave her. She must be free from Suleman's bondage. She and my children, they must be rescued. I don't care wherever he has taken her name to, or what is, maybe it's her stash he wants to use. Whatever it is he has done, God will deliver her. God will bring her out of it. She's not the first person that God has delivered. Or that God will deliver.
Paint the picture for me again when you return home and found out that your wife has left.
Yes, I think that very morning, I actually went to the mechanic. Before I went to the mechanic, I had gone to drop off my children in school, because usually I go to pick them up from school, because her car was having issues at the time, because we had the school in Kano where I was pastoring before I left. The school was actually our school. You see that? So she was in charge of the school. She was the proprietress, and she had people working with her and all of that. So once her car had issues at that time, while we were working to getting it fixed and all of that, so I had to go drop them off in school. So I had gone to drop them off in school that morning. Then I went straight to the mechanic. So I had to work within the time frame, between the time I dropped them off to when they will finish from school. So I had to put my mechanic under pressure to I need to go get my children from school. So they had to finish my car on time. So I drove with speed back to school at about 1:30 thereabout. Only for me to get to school, it was the headmistress that approached me. And she said, our mama left because the headmistress was also somebody who was a member of my church. So they would refer to her as mama. So she was like, I said, what about Michelle? What about the kids? Are they ready? Let's go. He said, no, sir. Mama actually left with them in the morning. I said, left with them? What happened? He said, she wasn't feeling too well, so she had to live with the children to the house. I said, oh, but she didn't call me. Why would she not call me to let me know she wasn't feeling too well so that I could find a way to come get them? So I said, okay, no problem. Let me just drive to the house and see how they are doing. Maybe probably she was too weak and all of that, So only for me to get to the house, I didn't see them. I had to now check the children's room. I noticed, the children's clothes were rumpled and all of that. I knew something was not right. So I had to start calling her cell phone. It was switched off. I did everything. I had to call the proprietor, the headmistress, but I said that was all she told her and all of that. I said, okay, I'll continue trying. So that was it. And before I knew what was happening, because prior to this time, remember that I said I resigned, I left the ministry in March, owing to certain issues that, border on, my misunderstandings with Apostle Suleman over, certain evidences that got to me that he wasn't comfortable with. That he had to call the entire pastorate, took off his shoes from his foot and pronounced a curse on me and asked everybody to stop relating with me. So, and that was it, basically, that I left in March. So between that March and that July where she left, we were already planning to relocate to Abuja. We were making plans. I didn't know that there was already another plan going on behind me and Apostle Johnson Suleman. How did I know? Because when I couldn't find them that particular day, July, where she left, 2 weeks later, I saw that she had relocated to Abuja. Somebody told me that she was in Abuja. That she was in Abuja, And that before you know what was happening, I'm sure it is people, maybe the way people were talking, that's why she pulled them down. All these things were on her Facebook. She posted the Jeep she was using. She posted the car, the house they were now living in. She posted, several things and all of that. Life is good. And in December of that same year, she had released a video of how she had returned to her father in the Lord and her mother in the Lord, Apostle Johnson SULEMAN. She has pulled that video down as well. So when they told me she was in Abuja and she posted those things, and I said, oh, now I see what is happening. So I had to now pick my things and left there. So that was how it eventually happened. Up until today, I never saw them. I've made efforts, from time to time to try to reach them, but because of the threats, I had to stay off.
And did you get families involved? One of the things that she had said was, you asked for your bride price, your lobola, what we call it here in Southern Africa.
No, all of that is nonsense. It's trash. Actually, I think there was a pastor, one of the senior pastors in Abuja here a few weeks ago, who approached me and was like that. He met her. She said, I was the one who asked for the bride price. You know what I did? I said, see, I'm tired of talking with this lady on this matter. I just called my elder brother and I gave the pastor the phone. When my elder brother finished telling him how everything went, okay, now let me tell you how it all happened. Okay, now, immediately she left, people advised me, here in Nigeria, we have a culture. And they said, what you need to do is that you need to alert the family immediately because you were the one they handed her over to. Because if you don't let them know and anything happens to her, they will hold you responsible. Yes. So I had to call the mom immediately, and the mom was like, what is going on? What happened and all of that? I said, well, you ask your daughter. We had just, I'm not sure what is really going on because we had misunderstandings that we have resolved and all of that. Obviously, that has nothing to do with her living, so I wouldn't know why she left. So the mom said, okay, I should drop that. She was going to call her. Only for the mom to call me back and said, I've called her and that she has called her and he asked her, where are you? She said she's somewhere in the world. I said, somewhere in the world. So the mom now said, please, I want to advise that whatever it is, you guys should find a way to settle it. Before you know what was happening, the next day, which was on a Sunday, this was okay, I think a few days later, on Sunday, I think it was Sunday afternoon, the elder brother called me from UK and was like, their mom mentioned to them what happened. That's the overall elder brother. So he now said, what actually happened? So I told him, I said, nothing much, aside. No, he said, well, you people having misunderstanding. I said, since this is just normal, the elder brother. And I said, those ones are not even issues now. There are people who even have more serious issues and it doesn't even. However, I will speak to her and get back to you, which is on Monday.
Yeah.
Do you know till today that as I speak to you, the elder brother never called back? So after about 1 year,
so he was like the go-to person from her family side, isn't it?
Of course, she must have told them she doesn't want the marriage and all of that, probably owing to the assurances that SULEMAN has made to her. So it was all clear. Everything was clear, So eventually, 1 year later, some of my friends now reached out to me, and including my family. They were like, this is 1 year because of our traditions and all of that. They said, her family is silent, we are silent. That is not the way it's supposed to be. Now, I now said, how is it done? Because I've never done something like this before. So my mom now said, okay, she was going to reach out to the eldest person in our family who knows tradition. So the man now called and said, how it is done is this. God is my witness that everything I'm saying this evening, I speak under God. I have no reason to lie against my wife. All right, so that one called me and said, how it is done is this. If a woman leaves a man's house for whatever reasons, she will go to the man's mother's house. But for whatever reason, she gets there and the mother to the husband says, you cannot stay here. She becomes justified to go to the mother's place. But in a situation whereby she left your house and she's outside, that's a different case traditionally. But however, where we need to start from is to first of all send delegates to her family to ask her if she is still interested in getting married. Because irrespective of what may have happened, everybody had assumed that, okay, this is like 1 year now, we need to know the way forward. So I said, okay, so we sent delegates to the mom. And so when they got there, the people that went there, I can send their numbers to you, you speak to them yourself. So when they got there, it was on a Sunday, And they spoke to the mom while they were there. The mom now said, okay, that there's no problem, that she's going to reach out to her to ask her if she's still interested in the marriage, that my family should come back the next Sunday. All right? This is the first time I'm actually recounting what happened about that bride price issue. That that we should come back the next Sunday to get the reply, which is a period of 6 days. Do you know that my family left there on Sunday? On Monday morning, my wife called me. She called me and said, well, I'm actually calling because my mom reached out to me last night that your family came to my house to ask if I'm still interested in the marriage. The reason I am calling you today is to let you know officially that I'm no longer interested in that marriage and that your family can come and get the bride price. Just the way you are quiet, Brother Solomon, that is the way I was silent on the other side of the phone. She said, as a matter of fact, that when she drops the call, she's going to authorize the family to return our bride price. I was in shock. So I said, okay, no problem. So she dropped the call, and I now called my elder brother. So that one I said, oh, you mean she called you? I said, yes, she just called. See, and all of that. And I said, okay, since the mom said we should come on Sunday, let us still wait for that Sunday. By that Sunday, they will go there to get the reply from the mom. Guess what happened? On Monday, that same Monday morning, she called me. On Tuesday, the family called my elder brother that the bride price is ready. Everybody was in shock. Like, what is going on? And they told my elder brother, as a matter of fact, that the bride price was ready, that they should come pick it up on Friday. Only for that Friday to come, they called my elder brother again that when he's coming, he should be aware that there are papers from a lawyer that he will need to sign. My elder brother said, what papers? When the traditional marriage was conducted, we didn't sign no papers. So why are there papers? Of course, my family obviously refused to sign those papers. And that was how we collected the bride price. And that was how everything happened. But she had forgotten, she had forgotten that our marriage, the marriage certificate that was issued to us from the church, came from the courts.
So there's a legal part of it.
There's a legal part of it.
That's the traditional part of it that you sorted.
That's just the part. As a matter of fact, even the lawyer said, tradition or no, the bride price or no bride price, all of that is barbadash. Your marriage is still
obviously. Once you get to a legal perspective, it means the constitution of the country endorses it.
Of
course. The constitution of the country obviously, overrides that. There is a marriage that has not been annulled. But even before you get to the legal side of things, they wanted you guys to sign a paper before you get the bride price. What do you think was the content of those documents? Were they trying to gag you and make you keep quiet? And were they trying to get you involved in certain things?
Maybe that's what they were trying to do, because for the fact that my elder brother, refused completely to even talk about that, so he wouldn't look at the papers. Because ordinarily, I was telling them that they said snap the papers and send to him. He said there is no need. All of that is nonsense. So they never give attention to the papers, So my marriage is still subsisting as we speak. It has not been dissolved by any court of competent jurisdiction.
Yes, obviously, yeah. She cannot be remarried, without dissolving that. That's going to be itself an offense to the state. And bottom line is, Apostle Johnson Suleman, not based on what Mike is telling me, based on my investigation from 5-6 years ago, Johnson Suleman went to a strip club.
Okay.
And he picked a girl from a strip club in Rivonia, Johannesburg.
Okay.
This girl came to me, wanted to sell the story. She didn't even know who he was. He told her he was a Nollywood actor, because they go to the shopping mall and then people are saying hi to him, because she was not really a Christian, so she didn't know who he was. And he took her, paid her manager, took her for the night. Anytime he comes to Johannesburg, he's with her. She showed me photos of them in the hotel. From the hotel on a Sunday, from having sex with this girl, he goes straight to church to preach.
Okay.
So don't come here and tell me about who Johnson Suleman is.